Hello, everybody. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Spring Fever. As always, it is me, XFL Jim.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
And I'm, of course, joined by the illustrious, the incomparable, the incomparable Uncle Rico, a.k.a. Eric.
I don't know. There's just a lot of trying after play. We're trying to make some stuff happen, and they're doing a little extra pushing and shoving. We're trying to get our fucking job done. They're just...
And Eric, of course, before we get into anything, we have to talk about Royal Retros, your one-stop shop for the best merch in the damn game. They have it all. They have the Houston Gamblers. They have the Memphis Showboats, both the old and the new. They have the Tampa Bay Bandits. They have the CFL. They have the USFL. They have the XFL. And, of course, they have the UFL. Royal Retros is the one place you need to go. Where when you go, use promo code Fever, 10% off it. That's right, 10% off. They love you so much. They want to give you a deal. Go there and take it. Royal Retros, promo code Fever, all one word, all capitalized, 10% off. Woo!
I love the sound, dude. Love it.
Shout out Jeff. Shout out Birdie Wrestling. We're going great. We're living high. We are at we're just past the halfway point of the season. We're going to give you our week 6 picks. We're going to give you our report cards. Eric, I got some takes for the first half of the season. I wonder if you do as well, just off the top of your head. I didn't have any notes for this episode. I didn't want notes. I just wanted kind of like vibes. I wanted feelings. What are your feelings after week 5, after 5 weeks of the UFL at the halfway point? What are some thoughts?
If we would have started at the beginning of the year and I would have told you 5 games in that the Renegades, Battlehawks, and Stallions would only have one more win than the Roughnecks, and the Roughnecks would have more wins than the Brahmas, what would you have said?
I would have called you a fool. I would have called you a damn fool.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that sticks out to me. These teams that we thought were going to be the top tier, really separate themselves. There hasn't been as much separation this year as it seems like last year. Now, granted, I'm not looking at the standings off the top of my head. I'm just kind of looking at like the team's records.
No, Eric, you're 100% right. So if you look at the standings in the XFL side, you have the DC Defenders sitting atop at 4-1, but the Renegades and Battlehawks are both right there at 3-2. And then in the USFL side, it's 3-2 for the Stallions, 3-2 for the Panthers, and then 2-3 for the Roughnecks. Even 1-4 for both the Brahmas and the Showboats. Those are your bottom place teams, but they're 1 wins. Like the Showboats' only win comes against the Stallions, and the Brahmas' only win comes against the Defenders. The parity this year through 5 weeks seems night and day from where, what was it, last year? What was it, week 6? The playoffs were basically locked in for the USFL.
Another thing, both of us were high in the Showboats this year. Very disappointed in what we've seen from them. Granted, they did go in and did something that no one has done before. They beat Birmingham at home. Impressive. But they're 1-4, 5 games in. None of us saw that coming. Defenders have the best record in the league. I have some serious I don't trust their quarterback. I don't trust their offense. And in a game where it is a playoff type setting, are you going to trust a young DC to make the right calls? That sticks out to me. Last year there was the platooning of quarterbacks. I thought that was more because this is kind of like the first year of the league. I thought that was going to dwindle down a little bit, but there's still, even 5 weeks in, a lot more platooning of quarterbacks than I expected. And then lastly, still the promotion and everything is not where I think it should be. I think it should be a little bit better. Look, I think Pat McAfee is a joke. I fucking hate Pat McAfee. But why can't they have it where every week there is a 5-minute talk with a UFL player? Why? You know what I mean? Is that really too much to ask?
You wouldn't even, in my opinion, you don't even need to put something like that on ESPN proper. You can put it on social media.
Yeah.
Like ESPN's like main channels.
Or Get Up or like whatever. There's got it's just anything ESPN does. There should it could be a revolving door. 100% agree.
The Rock is useless. Thank you, Christian.
100 a revolving door. Like Monday is this one. Tuesday is this one. Wednesday is this one. Thursday is this one. Friday, ESPN does have that bet show. Hey, UFL is here. This is my UFL bets for the week with whoever is on that show. Like, I just feel like that could be a million times better.
Well,
there's different avenues that you're just not exploiting or using.
This comment is like a perfect illustration. Shout out Birdie Wrestling. I've never watched the UFL, but it looks interesting. How would you get into it? The channels that be should be showing you how to watch, where to watch, what to do to get involved. Well, you get into it by just joining the community, the XFL community online. Pro Football Newsroom's a great resource. There's plenty of accounts. If you just look at my follow list, you'll follow plenty of people. James Larson is probably, my opinion, the number one guy for getting news about the UFL. He's like my go-to guy. But also just like ESPN, Fox, ABC. Those are your main places to watch if you want to watch the games. Friday night, Fox every week. I think Fox could do a much better job promoting that. ESPN, agreed.
Fox does an awful job promoting that.
Awful.
Just an awful job. It could be a million times better than what they're doing. It's just
the product on the field this season has been stellar, has been amazing, and it pisses me off that not as many people are watching.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people saying, and maybe there's some truth to this, that the slow start to offense to start the season maybe has something to do with that. Because now, week 4, week 5, and I'm assuming going into week 6, things are getting the games are more flashy. They're a little bit more pointsy. They're more back and forth. So the games are getting more exciting, but the viewership is kind of stagnating and things like that. And I feel like that's 100% fault of ESPN, the league itself, the front office, the marketing department. We've pounded this into the ground, how bad a job they've done at marketing this league. But again, the product on the field is amazing.
When you have The Rock, as Christian pointed out in the chat, as he's supposed to be the face of this. We need to remember a couple of years ago when the XFL was coming back, he was at the Super Bowl on the field promoting it. Where has that gone? It just, and there was a whole thing about the Army and the tweets he didn't send out.
He's a bum.
So
Dwayne Johnson's a bum. But Eric, I think a couple takeaways from me for the halfway point of the season. I'm happy with the way the product is on the field right now. I feel like every team has done a very good job of improving. The biggest takeaway for me is the parity this year compared to last year is night and day.
Yep, 100%.
And you brought up the Brahmas earlier. My other takeaway that I've kind of looked at, as bad as the Brahmas are, I did not think that they would have the worst defense in the league.
But does that have to do with Wade, with what's going on?
It very well could be, but to go from number 1 to number 8 is pretty drastic either way.
Yeah, that's true.
They still have the same DC that they had last year. I understand that Wade was a big part of that, and he's probably the main factor. But I don't feel like a drop off should be that. They were having trouble tackling last week
against the Roughnecks.
Which, to the Roughnecks' credit, they got their quarterback. They have some momentum. I don't want to, of course, go too big on the Roughnecks train, because remember, their wins are against Memphis when it was a really bad Memphis, and the Brahmas when the Brahmas are at their lowest. It's against the only 2 teams with 1 win.
Yep.
So they play the Showboats again this coming week. Interested to see. But then they play at Birmingham, We get some tests going on, and things are going to be coming down to the wire. I like that the playoff races are coming down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, that just makes it more interesting. I mean, remember last year, how it was kind of toward the end. Now, how long has Nakua been suspended for? That's
1 week. So Samson Nakua, if you guys didn't see the clip that went around, he did slap a fan after the Panthers Battlehawks game while he was walking out. Allegedly, now I've kind of gone on Samson's side here. Allegedly, that fan did spit on him.
What prompted the fan to spit on him?
They were probably just jawing back and forth. Apparently, there were some people talking in that part of the section. That fan was like screaming at the players the whole game, like very inappropriate things, not just like regular banter. And then allegedly there was jawing back and forth, and the fan spat on Samson Nakua. I think either way, a 1-game suspension is fine. I don't think it was like that big of a deal. At most, I would have said 2. There were people calling for him to be like suspended from the league entirely.
I mean, I thought he'd get like 2 to 3, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought he would get like
2. Obviously, I don't know, like
you can't slap a fan.
You can't physically slap a fan, but you want to give Nakua the benefit of the doubt that he has a good enough head on his shoulder. They wouldn't be that idiotic to do that.
Yeah. I think a 1-game suspension is fine. 2 would have been okay with me too. People calling for his head, a little too much, but we're here. That's where we're at. It was a fun clip. It was very funny. It got me talking about it and replying to Jay Sternberger. Got Jay Sternberger to follow me on Twitter. So
how'd you pull that off?
It's a win for me. Well, I said he talked about it, and I said, hey, maybe fans, like players and fans, for like a halftime show, they should just like slap each other. We should get like a fight for a halftime show.
Like slap off, like the Dana White thing or whatever.
Well, kind of. I said so between like the fans and the players, it'd be cool to do like similar to what the XFL did in 2001. Do you remember what they did for 2001 instead of a kickoff?
Oh, the thing where they ran down and got the ball?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think if they did something like that, it'd be kind of funny.
That'd be fun as shit.
I think it'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'd be very much down for that.
Yeah.
So either way, week 5 was awesome. We're here for week 6. Are you ready, Eric?
I'm ready, my friend. Let's do it.
Friday night, big game Friday night. Renegades at Battlehawks. Renegades coming off of a heartbreaking loss to the Defenders, where they once again, I can't believe I should slap both of us for us not getting on this trend of taking the Renegades first half.
Mm-hmm.
They're outscoring opponents like almost 50 to like 13 in the first half of games.
So that being said, do you think we should go Renegades first half, look to take the
Battlehawks
live,
or 100%,
or do we look for the prop if it's offered? Some books, I don't know, they offered it for the NFL and for college.
Yes,
Renegades halftime, Battlehawks full game.
That's a good way to do it. I think also live betting, because you got it with the Stallions game. What'd you get the Stallions at 2 weeks ago?
9-1.
Yeah. Like the Defenders were also probably, I think the Defenders were like plus like 200, 300 at some point last week.
Yeah.
There's great value. We say it every week with this league. There is fantastic value in betting live, but right as it stands, the Battlehawks are 2.5-point favorites. Over under 42.5, plus 120 on the money line. First half Renegades. Guess what? The Renegades are, you can only bet on DraftKings, whatever. You can only bet the highest scoring half. You can't bet spread, but I will say this. I will take the Renegades first half.
I will
that. Do it.
I like
and
that.
I will live bet the Battlehawks to win the full game, because them at home and the Renegades have not shown this season that they are good at closing out a game. Like they like completely change in the second half.
Now, with that being said, I'm just kind of spitballing here. They did allow Jordan to throw for over 300 yards.
Yeah, but Jordan's also been kind of going off this season.
What would be the prop number for the quarterback of the Battlehawks, Max Duggan. He's coming off a phenomenal game, but most of that was on the ground, wasn't it? If I remember,
I was gonna say, yeah, most of that was running. Let me see his full stats from that game, but I think most of that was on the ground. Let's see. So Max Duggan, offensive stats. He was 9 for 12 for 124 yards and a touchdown. So efficient, but remember, Hakeem Butler went 2 receptions for 124 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Now, Tom, who was the leading rusher last week for the Defenders, having 37 yards, what would the Max Duggan prop need to be for you to be interested in it?
Oh, geez. So what did Tomu rush for last week?
He had 37 on 8 attempts.
I think anything over like 25, I'll take.
Okay. Now,
Duggan's going to want to run the ball, and they do have a good running attack.
Jesus. There's no way, man.
What?
Duggan had 70 yards rushing on 7 attempts. His prop's going to be in the 50s, dude.
I know. Like, I'd probably take the under. They're probably going to want to play because I like the Renegades front usually. And I feel like they're going to be able to get to him.
Now, for me, you want to bet the Renegades kind of to bounce back a little bit. But you also,
I think 2.5 is the right number, though.
You also, the Battlehawks are coming off a so-so win where their offense looked great. 2.5 just kind of seems right. I think for me, like I kind of agree with you. I think the angle is you take the Renegades first half and then look for an opportunity to buy in live on the Battlehawks.
They're also fixing these totals. 42.5 is about right for what I suspect out of these teams. Yep. I think every game went over last week.
Yep.
Saturday, May 3rd. Showboats versus Roughnecks. Rematch, baby. Both teams kind of feeling themselves after last week. The Roughnecks are 4.5-point favorites. Over under 36.5 plus 195 on the money line for the Shodies. Do we trust Dress or Win to get it done 2 weeks in a row?
I mean, I think the bigger thing is we kind of got to look at the spot. You know, Roughnecks are just coming off a very impressive 24 win. Biggest domination win that they've had in 2 years over the Brahmas, a local rival, if you will. In week 7, they have to travel to Birmingham to play the Stallions. And I know this is kind of a weak year compared to, historically speaking, what the Stallions have been, but you got to play the spot. You got to play the situation. For me, I think this is just 4.5 is just too many. Like, who are the Roughnecks to win with this margin?
Yep.
Showboats do have a good offensive line. And look, you know, you kind of do want to look to fade them coming off that big win over the Stallions on the road. But they're a good dog again. You know what I mean? It's not like they're home against the Brahmas. Like, hypothetically, like, if they're playing the Brahmas, they're playing the Brahmas. I don't know. Like, hypothetically, let's say they're playing the Brahmas.
Oh, I'd be all over the Brahmas.
You'd be all over the Brahmas.
Like, this is a situation where I wish I could fade both teams this week.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I would, for me, I think 4.5, I think that's a little too much for them to win with that margin. You know, I would look to take the Showboats, or live betting has been so good in the league this year. You know, you can just kind of sit it out and like look to bet something live. In terms of this game, looking at it, Kellen Mott, I mean, like, just looking at what the Brahmas did, Mott 35 yards, McFarland 40 yards on the ground. We could be in a situation where these props for the Showboat skill players are a little bit low, if you will. I think we could see them run Prince. It wouldn't surprise me. He did have 12 carries for 59 yards last week, win 235, 1 TD. Maybe look at a little Prince overs, like Prince over rushing. I think maybe.
Ooh, I like that.
That's like in the mid 50s. I could get a little invested in that.
I like that. I like that quite a bit. I might dabble with a little Darius Prince myself, maybe in a little DFS lineup too.
Ooh.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned, everybody. Sunday in the doubleheader. Just another thing, just as an aside, for the rest of the season, we're getting a lot more games on like Fox and ABC versus the ESPN2s and ESPNs that we've gotten. So like 3 of the 4 games this week are on like over-the-air TV. 3 of the 4 games next week. 4 of the 4 games the week after. 4 of the 4 games week 9. 3 of the 4 games week 10.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's better for rankings. That's better for everything.
And also, like, I like getting ABC in the mix because historically, like every single, like even last year and this year, the highest rated games have been on ABC.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. But we start the day off at 11 a.m. with the DC Defenders taking on the Michigan Panthers. The Panthers are 2.5-point favorites, over under 42.5 plus 120 on the money line for the Defenders. And there is news. Bryce Perkins named the full starter this week. He will not be splitting time with Danny Etling.
See, like for me, that makes me like Michigan right there because, you and I have joked numerous times like how he must have something on him. So I would definitely like the like the Panthers here, especially Defenders coming off that come from behind win over the Renegades, establish themselves as the top team in the league. Now they have to travel to Michigan. There's obviously there is the back-to-back road games aspect, but when you think about that, I don't know
if that works in the UFL.
Both teams have to travel a little bit. But yeah, the situation says to play the Panthers. And the Defenders, this defense did give up a fucking ton, excuse my language, to Arlington. Perez, 286, Balaj, 79, Burnett, 78. I think that we need to realize it's not Dr. Death Williams out as a DC. I think we can look to attack the Defenders a little bit more in DFS.
I think 100% we can, and I think I actually like the over 42.5 in this matchup for both reasons. I do think Michigan their defense, little suspect at some points. Also, I think if you look on the season, the Michigan scoring offense might be number 1 or 2 on the season.
Okay.
Like their offense, especially, and like when he's been getting a lot of starts, Bryce Perkins has been on MVP numbers. He's not, for splitting time with his passing stats, he's not that far behind Perez and Tamu. Mm-hmm. He's been insanely efficient, really good. Another prop that I would like to take in this game when they're available is Tamu over interceptions. He throws so many pickable balls, and there are plenty in the community that are Jordan Tamu not like lovers or haters. I think he is good, but I think he is exciting. I think he will also do on one play. He will throw the cleanest ball you've ever seen in your life, and then turn around and throw the worst interception ever.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's great for the league. He's so exciting. Perez, to an extent, does the same thing. Luis Perez will throw some really bad INTs, but he'll throw such a clean ball. And I like Tamu. I like this DC offense, but Eric's right. Greg Williams not there. The defense is kind of taking a step back. They still like to blitz, but they're not nearly as clean. I like the over in this matchup. I also kind of like Michigan -2.5.
Yeah, I like Michigan too.
But again, I worry because the issue with Michigan, and they were pretty good against the Battlehawks last week. But if you look at this Michigan team, their wins, Eric, are against the Showboats twice and the Brahmas.
Yeah.
I know.
Doesn't really
It doesn't install a lot of confidence. So I'm just gonna play the over. I lean Michigan 2.5 because I do believe in Bryce Perkins. I do believe in this team. But their record, it's I don't know. They're still on fraud watch for me. If that makes sense.
I get you.
The cap of the week, a rematch of the UFL championship from last year. the highest spread of the week. It is the Brahmas at the Stallions. The Stallions are 9.5-point favorites, over under of 37.5, plus 370 on the money line for the Brahmas. They did drop Jamar Smith again, so this leads me to believe Matt Corral might be back for the Brahmas, potentially. Okay. If he is, he's definitely not 100%, though. So you're either getting a not 100% Matt Corral or Case Cookus.
And how did your boy look?
I am a Case Cookus truther. I believe in him. Not his best showing. My one criticism of Case Cookus, holds on to the ball a little too long. And he loves contact. I love that he loves contact, but I don't know if you want your quarterback to love contact the way he does. But also, they're going up against the worst defense. The Brahmas defense has been awful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to think about this one. 9.5 feels like it's too much, but I don't know if the Brahmas have bottomed out. And
I want nothing to do with this game, dude.
I'll take the over. I don't care. I'll take the over.
I mean, at what point do we look to get invested? So let's look at it like this. Last week, the Brahmas
awful
allowed Wynn 235 yards, Prince 59 yards on the ground, Anderson 93 yards in the air.
Are you talking about the Stallions?
I'm talking about the Stallions, excuse me.
Okay.
We look at what the Brahmas did. Mond 35 yards passing, McFarland 40 yards rushing, Jacob Harris 1 reception. We have to think that they should be able to do something, dude. You know what I mean? They should be able to move the ball a little bit.
You'd think both teams would be able to move the ball a decent amount. I don't know whether it's going to be Mond or Garantano, though. They put them both in. They both look not good.
But could we see him lean on McFarland?
Oh, definitely against a rush defense that's not fantastic.
Yeah, so maybe we look to do that.
Yeah, McFarland props wouldn't be a bad play, honestly. I still like the over. 9.5 feels like too many points, but I don't know if this Brahmas team is like kind of giving up. Which they were on like a crazy nice little momentum streak after their win. They beat DC and then they fall apart like this. Maybe they're a flip-floppy team. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You see that sometimes in these leagues. But I can't get behind the Brahmas until I trust their quarterback situation, and I really haven't trusted their quarterback situation all season.
Yeah.
So I like the over. I like your take on McFarland. I'm going to be interested in how this game plays out. Now, Eric, we move to the DraftKings lineup.
All right, let me pull this up, big dog.
Pull up your stats, buddy. Pull them all up. I will say this: Jordan Tomu is the most expensive quarterback. Number 2.
Yeah, we're not fucking touching him.
Do we fuck around with a little Bryce Perkins?
Okay, hold on. Brycey boy. All right, hold on. Dude.
Okay,
hold on.
We're holding up. Hey, it's all. This is a team effort. We work together here.
So I got stats.
The reason these 3 are so high, by the way, Tomu, Duggan, and Perkins, is they also do it with their legs. A guy like Perez is exclusively with his arm.
All right. So I like personally having a running back that can run a little bit.
A quarterback?
A quarterback, Jesus Christ. I can't.
So you got your options for that would be Tomu, Duggan, Perkins, McClendon are probably your best runners. Wynn's pretty decent.
Look at the prices. So with that being said, I like Perkins.
I also like Perkins, full-time starter. He's played at an MVP level. He gets it done with his legs. He also is he's a prime touchdown stealer. Like, he loves running it in for touchdowns. He steals those from the running back. He's Aaron Rodgers, but a better runner and a better person.
He's A-Rod. Okay.
What's the next position you want to go for?
All right. Well, let's go to running.
Okay, we got our running backs right here.
So we look at it. The Brahmas are allowing the most rushing yards per game at 137.
So we can play Marable or you can play Person. You're gambling it either way because they split time. That's the issue with the Stallions. Is they split time pretty evenly between their running backs. So what did they have last week?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find.
Last week they had Persons with 8 attempts, 41 yards. Marable, 8 attempts, 24 yards. So like an equal number of attempts. Like they split time. You're kind of just taking the gamble on if one of these guys goes off.
But I mean, Cookus did have 6 for 83 last year. Cookus was last week. He was their leading rusher.
Yes, but if the issue is if it's Corral, maybe we get more out of these guys.
So let's look at the Roughnecks. Who are the Roughnecks playing?
Roughnecks are playing the Showboats.
Prince did have a good game last week.
I wouldn't hate taking Prince, dude. 6,300 is not a bad price.
All right, so let's take Prince.
I like taking Prince there. Okay, we got wide receiver, tight end.
All right, let's go to the wide receiver, tight end. Now, obviously, Butler. I feel it's a trap with Butler with this pricing.
With Hakeem?
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel it's a trap.
So his pricing right now is for 7,300. 2 receptions last week for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, hard to repeat something like that.
Now the Stallions.
Basically impossible to repeat something like that, I think. But how many times was he targeted? He was targeted 4 times. Had 2 receptions. Interesting. I also don't hate pairing up someone like Saoirse Mariner, especially when the Panthers are going to be down a receiver. Like Nakua not playing is probably a big deal for getting a guy like Malik Turner or Saoirse Mariner.
All right, so I'm going to bet on the Kirkland bounce back.
You're going to bet on Jontre Kirkland against this Birmingham not great pass defense?
Yes.
I love that because Jontre Kirkland's one of my favorite players in this league.
Still had 6 targets, 4 for 21.
I like getting Kirkland in there.
I think that is the play right there. We got to get Kirkland going. Now, in terms of the other wide receiver position, I'm looking.
What are the tea leaves telling you, Uncle Rico? Shout out Michigan Panther Pride. We're talking about DraftKings and picks, baby. What do the tea leaves tell you?
Arlington is playing St. Louis, correct?
Yep, I could very easily see an over in that game too. But both defenses are usually, for the most part of the season, have been solid, aside from last week.
And Arlington's tough. Bad defense. Talk to me, big dog.
What are you feeling?
Well, what's the piece in that game?
Do we want St. Louis at home? Butler's going to get targeted.
All right, so Butler's 7,300. All right, so let's put Butler in there. Other side of the ball in Arlington, who do we want?
The plays are probably – Sal Cannell is too pricey. If you're going to go a receiver, I would say Vaughn. He's a safety net. Burnett's not a bad choice either. He's been getting a little bit more play. Burnett at 6,900, save a little bit more money than we could spend big on our last flex.
Who do you want? Or what's Balaj is 7,700.
Balaj is 7,700, which is also not bad. He's also he's the best piece on that offense. If you want to go Balaj,
let's go with Balaj because even Carell. No, sorry, because the game is going to be tight. St. Louis.
You want to get a defense in there?
Yeah, defensively. Jesus Christ.
Do we want to punt on defense and go Brahmas? The Brahmas are so bad.
No, they're playing the Stallions. Could fuck around that game. Showboats play. I kind of feel let's go Showboats.
Let's go Showboats. Only 200 more. So we have 6,500 left for our last pick.
So that's going to take us down to the realm of.
We got Marcus Sims on the rough.
Okay,
bench.
so with Nakua going down or being suspended, who takes his spot?
They're both priced out of us right now. It's Malik Turner, Saoirse Mariner. These are like your two top receivers. Nakua was right up there with them. Maybe a guy like Jalen Moore gets more play. But these two are going to get more targets. Like Saoirse Mariner and Malik Turner are going to be getting more targets based off of this.
So you don't think the targets go to somebody else?
I think no. I personally do not. Maybe a running back like Toa Tua gets more play based off of this for a safety net sort of situation. But
how much is Tua? He's probably too much. Tua's probably
Tua is 5,800.
Oh fuck, go with him.
We can go with him. Double running back again. I think it worked out decently for us last week. I will play this lineup. Now, are we sure we want the Showboats? Because we have money for any defense besides the Stallions. Do we want to go with the Michigan defense against Jordan Ta'amu?
Yeah.
But he can also put up a lot of yards.
But there's those interceptions, though.
Those interceptions that I think might be coming. So here's our lineup. Bryce Perkins, Deneric Prince, Jontre Kirkland, Hakeem Butler, Kalen Balaj, Toa Tua, and the Panthers. Going potentially a little chalky on the receivers. I don't know. It's hard not to in this league sometimes, though.
Yeah, and I mean, if they hit, great. If not, live to fight another day, brother.
Michigan Panthers says Devin Ross. We've had 7 different targets in 2 weeks straight. I don't mind Devin Ross there. He also said Payne. If you don't gamble, Michigan Panthers Pride, we still love you. And you can still give your takes, and we will still appreciate you for them. But for now, that'll close the page on this episode of Spring Fever. As we look to week 6 of the UFL, we give thanks. We love you guys. And make sure to go to Royal Retros, use promo code Spring Fever, all one word, all capitalized, for 10% off. Follow that man, Uncle Rico at eTop21 Sports. Follow me at XFL Gym and watch the UFL this weekend. It does help. Bye-bye, everybody. Kisses.